Hey guys, Adam Sugar here, WagerTalk.com. It's Wednesday, and it's time for another MLB free pick best bet. But first, let me tell you about a special that we have going on at WagerTalk. It's 30 days of all access for just comes out to roughly $7 a day. It's a great special that'll, believe it or not, take you right through the start of preseason football. I can't believe it's that close. The NFL preseason is one of my favorite things to bet on during the whole calendar year. I've made money betting the preseason pretty much every year. Probably like something like 7 of the last 8 seasons. I know we had a really good NFL preseason last year. I believe I was like 5-2 or 6-2. So I can't wait for that, and that will take you into, I believe, the first week of the preseason. It also, for me, covers KBO. I had a 4% winner this morning. Samsung Lions plus 1.5. Blowout win. I'm now 8-2 in my last 10 KBO picks. And then, of course, MLB's been rolling along. We've got back-to-back winners. I hope to win again for you today. And I was number 1 in June across all sports at WagerTalk, 33-14. So I'd like to, think that we can get there again in July. Check out that special, which is up on my page at wt.buzz/AT. All right. As far as today is concerned, we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to talk about Game 2 of the Twins White Sox doubleheader. But I want to make sure that for the people that are seeing this video early, if you're looking for a bet in Game 1, I posted that to my Twitter at TopPlaySI. I have a 4% play in Game 1 of this game that I gave out for free. It's on the White Sox plus 1.5, and I did a detailed write-up of that game, which was my write-up from last night. This was my 4% play on Tuesday night. The game got rained out, but we're getting the exact same matchup in Game 1, same juice, and I felt like it was still a good spot for the White Sox, so I decided to go with a 4% play, and I posted that for free on my Twitter. The reason that's important, and the reason I still pick this game, is pretty much any time I decide to get involved with a doubleheader, I've got a plan for what if, for both games. In this case, if the White Sox get it done in Game 1, I'm not going to come back with a best bet in Game 2. Doesn't mean you still can't take this info and make a bet in Game 2 if you want to. But me personally, if I get my money in Game 1, I'm going to get out of there and go, just move on. However, if the White Sox do lose Game 1, depending on the fashion in which they lose, there's a good chance that I might be active in Game 2. And so I'm going to break down what I'm looking at and why I would be, looking to come back with the White Sox in Game 2. Now, the only way, I'm not going to add a best bet, but if the White Sox were to lose by 1 in Game 1, a lot of this could still play in Game 2. Of course, we're taking the plus 1.5 in both scenarios. So, there's a scenario where the White Sox lose the game, but still cover the number, the plus 1.5. And amazingly, that's really been the story of this series so far this year. So the Twins are 8-0 this season against the White Sox straight up. But they're just 3-5, or I'm sorry, they're 5-3 against the minus 1.5, which means the White Sox have, covered the plus 1.5 3 times in those 8 losses. And 2 of the times they didn't, they went into the ninth inning. It was a 6-5 game, and the Twins scored late. And then the other one was Monday night, the opener of this series, where the White Sox took a 5-2 lead into the 7th inning and managed to lose 8-6 in the 11th. So in a second extra inning, a horrific beat if you had White Sox plus 1.5 on Monday, because there's really no reason that shouldn't have covered. Very unlucky if you took White Sox plus 1.5 on Monday night, which was the first game of this series. So the point I'm trying to make here is this series has been a lot more competitive than just, the Twins just winning all 8 games. Yes, they've won all 8 games, but it's been far more competitive. The White Sox have really been right in 5 of those, covered the plus 1.5 in 3 of those. And if you go back to the beginning of last year, these teams have played 21 times. The Twins are 17-4, but 14 of those contests either way have been decided by 3 runs or less. So the White Sox are playing the Twins tight. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. But now you get a doubleheader. I think they're going to win one of these 2 games. And so that's really where the overall handicap comes in. And if the White Sox, don't get over the hump in Game 1 and finally get that win, then I'm going to have to look at them again in Game 2. And so as far as the matchup is concerned here, The pitching matchup in game one for me I like it better. I like Eric Fed, and I'm more willing to go against Bailey Ober. But as far as the starting pitching here is concerned, I think it's maybe more even on just a one-off basis than the market is suggesting with this line. So Pablo Lopez, the underlying metrics for him suggest he should be much, much better. He has a 5.18 ERA, but all of the other numbers are very good. A 1.19 WHIP. He's got 116 strikeouts and 99 innings pitched. There's no way Pablo Lopez is going to end this year with an ERA over 5, which suggests that he's probably got some positive regression coming, like in his favor coming. He's probably going to have a good run at some point. I will say this about Lopez, though. Ever since he was traded for Luis Arraez, he's kind of been put up on this like pedestal as an ace. And I've always felt like the market's had him a little bit overrated since that trade happened. And so, like, even if you are going to get the good run with Lopez, for whatever reason, you almost always have to pay a premium to back him. And that's what's happening here. And, maybe this isn't the best spot for Lopez. The White Sox have seen him, over the course of the last 2 seasons. They've seen him a couple times. They saw him earlier this year. They had a pretty good game against him. He was out after the 4th inning, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, walked 2, was not impressive in that start at all. And that's kind of been where Lopez has gotten blown up this year. Second time around against the Astros, which is his most recent start, got tagged for 6 runs. Second time around against the Yankees was one of arguably his worst start of the season. They dropped 7 runs on him. I guess he's been a little bit easier to figure out. And of course, the White Sox have seen him. So again, those are all things that are maybe anti-Lopez, even though overall I do think that Lopez is going to be, better than that ERA suggests going forward. Now, someone the market really doesn't, in my opinion, know how to price at this point is Drew Thorpe. He's a rookie that got called up straight from Double-A to the big leagues for the White Sox. He's the real deal. I made the mistake of going against him last week with the Marlins in his last start. I thought it was overall not a great spot for the White Sox, and that the Marlins would do enough where that they would have an advantage in the later innings. And it turned out the Marlins couldn't do anything at all against him. He pitched into the 7th inning in that game, 6.1 innings, 1 run on 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, looked great. And his previous start, I bet on Drew Thorpe and cashed a 4% best bet with the White Sox against the Rockies, where he was equally good. 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and really made one mistake, one bad pitch all game, which got hit out of the ballpark for those 2 runs for the Rockies. He was in complete control in that game. And if you go back to the start before that, which I did not have action in, 6 shutout innings against the Tigers. So he's been pretty consistently good since the call-up. He was good in his debut against the Mariners, which was even arguably the most impressive since it was on short notice. And the only real blow-up he had was on the road at the Diamondbacks, and it was during a stretch where Arizona was just knocking the cover off the ball, early June, where they just couldn't lose a game. So I'm almost willing to forgive that one. And Drew Thorpe, I think, is potentially the real deal. It's probably why they called him straight up from Double-A to the bigs, and hasn't really been intimidated at all by these big league hitters. So when I'm looking at the pitching matchup for Game 2, I think Thorpe can, the Twins will be seeing him for the first time. So I think he can definitely at least match Lopez, and that's where the bullpens come in, and that's where it's going to be really important to watch what goes on in Game 1. If the White Sox win Game 1 and use all of their high leverage guys, then I'm going to be far less inclined to want any part of them in Game 2. If the Twins win Game 1 in that fashion, use Joan Duran, use some of their more high leverage guys, then I'm almost going to be like pot committed to having to come back with the White Sox plus 1.5 in Game 2 because of my overall view of this series, that I just don't think the Twins are going to win every single game against the White Sox this year. The series has been far too competitive for that to happen, in my opinion. So stay tuned to my Twitter at TopFlightSI, because I will sort of post this in real time there, what I'm going to do. If the White Sox plus 1.5 game one comes through as a 4% best bet for my clients, I will probably stay out of game two. But if it doesn't, and especially if the White Sox don't cover in that first game, I'm more than likely going to come back with White Sox plus 1.5 as a client play. Right now, it's in the plus 105, plus 110 range, and that is a very playable number, if you ask me, to get the White Sox at home, and get some plus money and get the 1.5 to work with. So follow me on Twitter at TopFlightSI, where I will post what I'm going to do in game two regardless, and also for more free picks. And then head on over to my page, wt.buzz/AT. I haven't posted it yet, but we'll likely have an MLB play for Wednesday night, waiting on some lineup info. And I'm also probably going to have a KBO play up shortly for Thursday morning. I'm on an 8-2 run in KBO. Second half of the season just started, and it's always been one of the best times to bet Korean baseball with some of the shuffling that goes on during the All-Star break. So wt.buzz/AT, and of course, please subscribe so we can continue to bring you these free pick videos on a daily basis. And let's cash some tickets. We'll see you guys tomorrow on First Pitch.